I'm using this crochet thread here, it's a size 10, and I'm using a boy size 1 hook. So I'm going to start by making a slip knot, and then I'm going to chain 5. Then I'm going to slip stitch in the very first chain that I crocheted. I'm right back here and work that slip stitch. Now I'm going to work the first cluster. There's going to be a total of 8 clusters in every flower, and they're going to be formed using triple crochet. So my first triple crochet is just going to be a chain 3. So I'm going to 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to make these treble crochets into clusters, so that means we're not going to quite finish them, but we're going to work the whole cluster and then join them all together. So I'll explain that as I go along. So I need to do my second treble crochet. So I'm going to yarn over twice, insert my hook into the ring I made, and I'm going to work over this tail end so that way I can, get out of the way, have less weaving to do. Yarn over and pull up through the middle. And now I'm going to finish my treble crochet stitch like normal, except I'm going to leave another loop on the hook. So I'm going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and stop right there. I'm not going to finish pulling through those last 2 loops. And then I'm going to repeat that process 2 more times. So yarn over twice, insert my hook into the middle of the ring that I started with, yarn over and pull up a loop. So now I have that is for my first treble crochet, which was the chain 3. That's for my second treble crochet. And now to finish this third treble crochet, I'm going to yarn over, pull the loop through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. So on the first cluster of every flower, once I do a treble crochet, it will leave me with 1 loop on the hook. So for this very first cluster, I've got 3 loops on the hook. That means I've done 3 treble crochet. And now to finish the cluster, I'm going to do 1 more treble crochet just like this, where I yarn over twice, insert my hook, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So now what I have is I have my 4 treble crochet, and now to turn them into a cluster all together, I'm going to yarn over and pull through all the loops on my hook, and then I'll be left with just 1 loop. So that's my very first cluster. The clusters are a total of 4 treble crochet, and then I join them all together, and each of the clusters is going to form one of these flower petals. The next thing I want to do is create the first corner. So to do that, I'm going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now it's time to work our second cluster into the ring. I'm just going to kind of keep sliding these around the ring so they're off to the side. So I'm going to work my 4 treble crochet and then join them together at the end. So I'm going to yarn over twice, insert my hook, pull a loop through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and stop. Now you might have noticed that we've got 2 on the hook right now, but we've only worked 1 treble crochet. So in the very first cluster, because we start with a chain 3, not an actual treble crochet, you're going to have 1 loop on the hook for each of your treble crochet. For the rest of the clusters in the flower, you're going to have a loop on the hook for every treble crochet you've worked plus 1. So I've only worked 1 treble crochet, so I have a loop from that plus 1. So once I work my second treble, I'll have 3 on the hook. Once I work 4, I'll have 5 loops on the hook. So I'm going to work my second one. Yarn over twice, insert the hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So I'm halfway there. I'm going to repeat that process 2 more times. Yarn over twice, insert my hook, pull up 1 loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So as you can see, we've got 3 treble crochet and 4 loops on the hook. We just need 1 more treble crochet to finish this cluster. Take the hook, pull through, so yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And now once I have these 5 loops on my hook, I'm going to yarn over and pull through everything on the hook, and that's going to create my cluster. So it's going to start looking something like this. So basically what we've crocheted so far is a section that's like this and this, where it's that corner piece and then the 2 petals. So now I'm going to work to the next spot, and this time instead of working 6 chain, because I'm not creating a corner, I'm just creating a side, I'm only going to work 4 chain. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now I'm just going to repeat what I've done so far, where I work a cluster and then chain 6, a cluster, chain 4, a cluster, chain 6, a cluster, chain 4, and I'm going to do that until I have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 clusters. So basically it's like we're here and we're going to work around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to work to that point and then I'll show you what we do next. So here's what I've worked so far. I've worked a cluster, 6 chain, a cluster, 4 chain, a cluster, 6 chain, a cluster, 4 chain, a cluster, 6 chain, a cluster, 4 chain, a cluster, 6 chain, and then I worked my 8th cluster. So to finish off this very first flower, I'm going to chain 4, and I'm going to come to the top of my very first cluster and insert my hook right under there, and then just work a slip stitch. And then once I work my slip stitch, I'm going to fasten off. Now I would leave your tail fairly long, but I'm going to show you later on in the project how we're going to work over most of our tails, because with these kinds of tails, they're so small, it can be really hard to weave them back in. So the flower motif is kind of a square, you can see, where the 6 chains act as our corners, the 4 chains are like the sides, and then we have these 8 clusters. So this is how you work the very first one. The other ones are worked just about the same way with one little catch. The rest of the motifs are going to be joined onto this first one and then joined onto the next one. So I'm going to show you how to work the next motif and how to join it to this first one. So just like before, I'm going to start with a slip stitch, a slip knot. So to start the next one, just like before, I'm going to start with a slip knot and then I'm going to chain 5. And then I'm going to slip stitch in my very first chain to create a ring. And then I'm going to chain 3. And this chain is going to be my first treble in my first cluster. So I'm going to work this first cluster the same way I worked the first cluster on the very first flower. So I'm going to yarn over twice, insert my hook into the ring I created, working over this tail end here just so I don't have to weave it in later. I'm going to yarn over and pull through the ring, and then I'm going to yarn over, pull through 2, going slow so the camera can see, yarn over, pull through 2. So now we're counting this like I have my first 2 treble in this ring. Going to work my next treble into the loop, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and work my 4th one for this cluster, yarn over twice, insert my hook, grab it and pull it through the ring, yarn, whoop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and now because I have worked all 4 of them, again on the very first cluster of a flower, you'll have just 1 loop on the hook for every treble. So I've got 4, so that's a cluster, so I'm going to yarn over and pull through all those loops. So far what we've done is exactly the same way we started the first flower. Here's where things are going to start changing. What we did on the first flower was we worked a total of 6 chain to create the corner. We're only going to work half of that corner. So we're going to work 3 chains. So 1, 2, and 3. And now we're going to start attaching it to this very first motif. So what I like to do is I like to take this tail end and put it on the right side because that's where all the tail ends from the ones I'm adding will end up, and that makes it easier for later on when we are covering the tail ends. It doesn't actually matter, but it just helps me keep some consistency. So this is the right side of the work, and I want to turn it so I'm looking at the wrong side of the work. And I'm going to take this corner right here. So I'm going to keep my yarn kind of to the back of the work here, and I'm going to insert my hook from front to back through the giant loop right there. So now my yarn's still in the back here. So what I want to do to attach is that I'm going to work a single crochet. So I'm going to yarn over, pull that up through that chain 6 spot right there, as you can see. And then I'm going to yarn over and pull through everything on my hook to finish the single crochet. And now I need to finish that corner I was working on, so I'm going to chain 3 more. So 1, 2, 3. And now it's time to work the second cluster of my second flower. So just like before, I'm going to yarn over twice, insert my hook into the ring, pull up a loop, and then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And I'm going to do this 3 more times until I have that 4 cluster. Pull through 2, pull through 2, yarn over twice, insert and pull up a loop, pull through 2, pull through 2, last one, yarn over twice, insert into the ring and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now because this isn't the first cluster for this flower, we'll know we have done 4 treble crochet when we have 5 loops on the hook, which we do have 5 loops on the hook, so it's time to yarn over and pull through everything on my hook. So now I have worked the second cluster of this flower, and before what we would have done is we would have chained 4 and then worked the next cluster, but we're going to, instead of chaining 4, just chain 2. So chain 1 and 2. And again, I'm going to kind of let my work kind of fold down on itself, so it's almost like we're creating a mirror image right on top of it. Keeping my yarn to the back, and I'm going to insert my hook in this chain 4 that's to the left of where I did my first attach. So just insert from front to back right there. Come with my yarn, yarn over, and I'm going to pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through everything on the loop. So again, we're just attaching with that simple single crochet. And then I'm going to chain 2 more, so 1 chain, 2 chain, and now I'm going to work my third cluster for this flower, just like I did the previous one. So I'm working on my first treble here, and then let's get this second treble, my third treble, and my 4th. Now once I have all 4 on my hook, I'm going to yarn over, pull through to complete that cluster, and then we're going to join this one the same way we joined the very first one. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, come here. We're looking at the wrong side of our work right now, the back side. Insert my hook in this big chain 6 loop from my first flower. Yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over again, pull through everything to complete that to complete that single crochet, and then I'm going to chain 3 more. So 1, 2, 3. And now it's time to work my 4th cluster into the ring, and then I'm going to finish this off the exact same way I finished off the first one. So I'm going to work my next cluster, fasten that cluster together, and now it's time to do a 4 chain, so just 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'll work my 5th cluster into the ring, then chain 6 for the corner, my 6th cluster, chain 4 for a side, my 7th cluster, chain 6 for a corner, my 8th cluster, chain 4, and then attach it right here at the very beginning. So here you can see what I've got so far. This is my first flower, and this is the second one that I attached. Now right now it doesn't look like too much, and it probably looks a little wonky and lopsided, but that's okay, because once we attach all of our flowers, we're going to do this border that's going to really help even out the look of this. But if we compare it to the headband we've got, basically what we've done is this middle part of the headband right there. And as I said, it might look a little bumpy and goofy right now, but once we do the border, it helps kind of square everything off. So what's left to do as far as the part with the flowers go is you want to finish attaching your flowers. Work it the exact same way you work the second one. So your third flower will attach right here, then your fourth flower down here. So you'll start, this is like your first one here, then you attach the second one along there, attach the third one, and you keep working them down like that. Now for the size headband I'm doing, I did a total of 6 flowers just because that seemed to be a good size for my head. If you want to make it longer, you can always do 7 or even 8. There is going to be this extra thickness from the border, and then we're going to do this lacy kind of part at the end to make it a little bit longer also. But if you're thinking that, yeah, it's probably going to be too small, you can always add more flowers because I do kind of have a small head. So finish attaching your flowers and I'll show you the next part of this project. Alright, so here's what we've got. I have crocheted my 6 flowers and I've attached them together, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm just about to finish attaching my 6th and final flower. Again, if you need to do more to make yours longer, then definitely go for that. But this is my final flower, so this is very important to keep in mind when you get to your final flower. So I've done my 8th cluster and I've chained 4, and I'm going to, just like I've done with all the other ones, work a slip stitch in the top of that very first cluster. And here's the important part. When you get to your very last one, don't cut the yarn, because we're going to now start working on this border where we work all the way around. And if you cut the yarn, basically what that means is now you have extra tail ends to weave in, and weaving in tail ends is a pain, and it's especially a pain with the crochet thread just because it's so small. So to avoid that, we're not going to detach and cut it, we're just going to keep working as is. Now I am going to leave this sitting here for a moment. I'm going to flip the whole thing over, and I am going to trim some of my tails. I'm going to trim any of the tails that are in the center of a flower. So like this tail end here, I'm going to trim that off. See, I don't think I still have one sticking out here. Got a tail end on this one, I'm going to trim that off, and I'm just going to trim the tail ends, not these ones on the sides, but the ones from the center, because we've already worked around them, so they're not going to come loose, but then I have less tail ends confusing me as I work. Alright, so now I'm going to flip it back around, move this one off to the side, and what I want to do is I want to work a slip stitch into that section right here. So just a basic slip stitch so that way my yarn is here. And what I want to do for the first round of this border is I'm going to create these 3 treble crochet in each spot, and then we work a chain in between each of these sets of treble crochet. So I'll show you what we're doing. So I'm going to work a set of 3 treble crochet right in this spot right here. My first one's just going to be a chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. So now I'm going to work a normal treble crochet into this spot. And I'm going to completely finish this one off and then work a third one. So because we're counting that chain 3 as a treble crochet, that is our first set of 3 treble crochet. And then I'm going to chain 1 and then go to my next spot right here. I'm not going to work down in this one. I want to make sure I'm working on this edge. So don't come down in here, but come to this edge. So I'm going to work right in here. Now this is where I want to start working over the tail ends. I'm just going to let this tail end here lay across the top of my work. Kind of come to the back there. And I'm going to make sure I go over that tail end so that way I don't have to weave it in later on. So I'm going to yarn over twice, insert my hook into that big next section there, again working around the tail. I'm going to work a treble crochet just like normal. And if you want to get the tail end out of the way, once you've gone over it with one stitch, you can kind of pull it tight a little bit so it's not sticking up as much. Then I'm going to work 2 more in the same spot. Here's my third one. And then, as I did before, between every cluster of 3, I'm going to do a chain. And then I'm coming to my next spot right here between those 2 clusters from the flower. And here's that tail end that I missed earlier. Came to the front, let's get that out of the way. Gonna yarn over twice and work 3 treble crochet in this spot. And again, I'm still working over that tail end. And 3. And basically I'm going to keep working this down where I do 3 treble crochet in a spot and then a chain. We'll come to the next spot, 3 treble crochet. Just the trick is to make sure you're working in the correct spots. So you want to work like in these 3 big side loops of a motif. You don't want to come in this one that's created from the join. Make sure you just do the 1, 2, 3 along the top, and then when you do these 2, I try to work over my tail ends just so I have less work later on. So I'm going to work down to the corner, and then I'll show you how to create the corner. Alright, so here's what I've done. I've worked the treble crochet, those sections of 3 with a chain in between them, down the right side. And because that's the side that had all these tail ends, I worked over the tail ends. So I'm going to pause right now and trim those just because I think it's helpful to not have any extra tail ends in the way than is necessary. And now that I've trimmed those, we come to the corner. So I've done my 3 treble crochet, so I'm going to do a chain 1. And then in the corner, I'm going to start by working 3 treble crochet, like I've been doing down the sides. So here's 2. Whenever I start counting like this, I always feel like the count from Sesame Street. 3 treble crochet, up, 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 up. Okay, so once we do the first 3 in this corner here, I'm going to chain 2. And then that's kind of like I've done in the corner, kind of come to the end. And in the same spot, I'm going to work 3 more treble crochet. So 1, 2, and 3. So now that I'm on the end, I'm gonna work my chain in between my clumps of 3 treble crochet, and then I'm going to work 3 treble crochet in that next spot on the end, and then I'm going to work the next corner just like I worked this corner here. So again, make sure you work that chain between the spaces, and I'll show you the corner again. So I'm going to work 3 treble crochet. So this is my first one. And then on to my second one. And then my third one. And then instead of working just 1 chain, I'm going to work 2 chain because I'm at the corner. So 1 chain and a second chain. And then I'm gonna work 3 in the same exact spot once more. And then I'll go back to my chain, work 3 in a spot, chain, work 3 in a spot, and work my way down the side and then around the corners until I'm back to where I started. So I finished going around with the first round for my border, and I'm going to finish off. I worked my last 3 treble crochet into that spot there. I'm going to work a chain, and then I'm going to join it in the top of that chain 3 that I did at the start of this round. So I'm just going to join with a slip stitch if my hook will cooperate. And then I'm going to do 1 more round, and this time we're going to work in single crochet. So I'm going to start by chaining 1, and then I'm going to work a single crochet in between the 2 treble. So I'm not inserting up here, but I'm inserting down here between them. So yarn over, pull through it all. Okay, so that's the first one. Then work a second one down in between those posts there. And then whenever I get to a chain space, I'm going to work 2 single crochet in that spot. Again, I'm going right down there and working those single crochet. And again, I'm going to do this all the way around. So I work a single crochet between each of the tall treble crochet, and then I work 2 single crochet in each chain space. And I'm going to do this all the way around, and I'll show you what to do in the corners. So here I'm coming to my first corner. So I'm just like Norma going to work between the tall treble posts, and I'll just do a single crochet in between them. But now when I get to this 2 chain spot at the corner, instead of working 2, I'm going to work a total of 4 single crochet in this space. So 1 single crochet, a second single crochet, a third single crochet, and a fourth single crochet. And then I'm going to go back to working my single crochet between the treble post, and then wherever there's a chain I will work 2 single crochet, and then at the corners I work the 4 single crochet. And I'm just going to keep repeating this until I come all the way around to where I started. Alright, so I've just about finished with my single crochet border. I have worked on all the stitches going around. The last thing I want to do is work a slip stitch to join it to the beginning here. So I'm just going to find that very first stitch I did right there, work a slip stitch to join it. Now you have an option here. We want to get to this or this corner. So you can cut your yarn and detach it, which means more tans to weave in, or you can work a slip stitch going back to this corner, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to flip my work over. So I'm just going to work a slip stitch along the top here, just kind of towards the back. And you might notice that a little bit, but it's pretty well hidden, and it means less tail ends to weave in, which I think is always a great benefit. So I'm just slip stitching till I get to the corner. Alright, so you'll know you're at the corner when you've completed a slip stitch in that second single crochet in this big loop here. So here's the first one right here, I worked a slip stitch in it, and then here's the second one and I just work a slip stitch in it. So that's how you know you've gone all the way to the corner. And now it's time to work this section of the headband. So what I'm going to do now to create this kind of stretchy lattice-like pattern is I'm going to make these 4 bumps along here, and then I'll have 3 bumps on top of those, and then 2, and then 1. And the last one will attach to a hair tie, a ponyhole, or elastic, whatever you want to call it, to give the headband a little extra stretch. So to make each of the bumps, I'm going to start by chaining 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going to come down to my work here, and I'm going to look at my stitches along here, and I'm going to count 3. So 1, 2, 3. That's my third one right there, away from where I started this, and I'm going to work a single crochet right in that spot. And then I'm going to chain 6 more. So now that I've chained 6 a second time, this time we're going to count 4 instead of 3. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and come in at that 4th spot right there and work a single crochet. And then chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And this time we're going to count 3 spaces. So 1, 2, 3. Insert my hook right here and work a single crochet. Chain 6 one last time. 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to count 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And go in right here, and that's basically the corner. And I'm just going to work that single crochet in the spot there. So now I've got these 4 bumps along the edge, and I want to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And then flip my work over. And the range is hit. I don't know if you can hear that on the camera, but it's crazy loud. Okay, flip your work over, and I'm going to work a slip stitch right in this big chain 6 loop. And that's going to bring me to our next row. So for our next row, I'm going to chain 6, 2, 3. Go to my next bump here and work a single crochet in there. Chain 6. Go to my next spot and work a single crochet. And do this one more time to get to the end of the row. And then just like before, to get up to the next row, I'm going to chain 3, turn over my work, slip stitch into this one right here, And then I'm gonna do my chain 6 bumps. And then work a single crochet in the next spot. And keep working this up. So now we're about to get to our last row. So I'm going to chain 3 to get to my last row. Turn my work, do a slip stitch right in there. And this time, instead of starting to chain a total of 6, I'm only going to chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. And now I'm going to need a hair elastic. So here I have just a basic hair tie. I like to use ones that don't have metal in them. I think they just turn out better. You can do a neutral color like I'm doing, or you can go with a coordinating color just to add a little more, you know, just variety and fun level to your headband. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this back here behind me, keeping the yarn end kind of to the right, and I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through both. So I'm gonna call that a single crochet. That's basically what we've done. So that's my first one, and I'm gonna do a total of 3 on here. So I'm gonna insert from the front, catch that tail, pull it up, yarn over, and pull through both loops. That's my second one, and then one more. Come from the bottom, pull up the loop, come from the side, yarn over, and pull through. And so those are my 3 single crochet onto the elastic. And then to finish off this part of the headband, I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and work a single crochet into this spot right here below. And now I'm actually going to fasten off my yarn. But don't worry, I'm going to show you how we're going to hide this tail later on. Okay, so I have my first side attached, and now it's time to flip the whole thing over, and we're going to attach the other side. So I'm going to start with a slip knot in my yarn. Really crochet thread, I keep calling it yarn, but really it's crochet thread. I'm going to put my hook in here, and I'm going to look at this corner on the opposite side, and I'm going to find that second one up from the side. So I'm going to come in right here. And it's okay, you can kind of guess if you're not quite sure where to come in. If you find that you think you come in too far to the side or too far that way, then you'll just need to adjust where you attach at the end. But it's an easy adjustment and it'll blend in even if you're not in the exact same spot that I went in. I just try to go in that one. That's kind of the corner. So I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to work a slip stitch to attach my yarn. And now that my yarn is attached, I'm going to do the same process as before. I'm going to chain a total of 6. And then do my count 3 single crochet, chain 6, count 4 single crochet, and so on. And then I'm going to work up my rows the exact same way before until I get to that very last one, and then I'll show you what to do once you get there. Alright, I'm going to be talking a little loud. Hopes I'm not like screaming into the camera, but it's thundering like crazy outside. So here's where I'm at now. I have finished this last lattice kind of section up until the point where I'm about to do my last bump. So I've already done that chain 3 and slip stitch to the side there to be attached. So just like before, I'm going to start by chaining 3. And now it's time for me to attach it to the other end. Now here's what's really important. You don't want your headband to have any twist in it. Because if you attach it and there's twist in it, well, that's going to make either that spot bunchy or the top pattern part bunchy. That's not going to be very nice. So what I like to do is I like to spread out my headband so that way it's very smooth. And then I'm going to lift up this side and fold it under. So here you can see I've got the sides laying down and my headband's all nice and smooth and flat, and this pony holder is on the far side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up the pony holder like this, and I'm going to hold the yarn again to the back, and I'm going to do just like I did before. I'm going to work 3 single crochet onto here. I'm going to come through the pony holder, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through both loops. Do that a second time for a second single crochet, and then do it one last time. And then you can kind of check to make sure that your headband isn't twisted. I'm just double checking here and mine looks good. So now I'm going to finish off by chaining 3 and working a single crochet in that left loop there. Alright, now we're almost done. The very last thing we're going to do is we're going to do one last thing of single crochet going all the way around the headband. And there's a couple things you'll need to know about this. First off, when you work in these lattice sections, you'll want to work 5 single crochet in each of them. And then we're just going to work single crochet like normal along the sides here. But you will want to make sure you work over those tail ends because that'll save you more work down the road. So I'm just going to start with single crochet right here, and I'm going to work 5 in each of my sections in this last lattice stretchy kind of end. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Go to my next section and work 5 here. So I've done 5 on the side of each, and I'm doing so many, it might look a little bunchy, but I'm doing so many so that way this end piece still has the stretch that it will need. And then I'm just going to work 1 single crochet in each spot along my side here. Again, I'm working over that tail end. I'm going to do this all the way to the other side, and then once I get to the lattice on the other side, I will work 5 in each of the loops, and then I'll show you how we work over the part that's attached to the pony holder. Alright, so here I am. I've come to the spot where I've got my single crochet here, and you may have guessed what I'm going to do. And basically what I'm doing is I'm just going to work a single crochet in each of those 3 single crochet. So I'm just going to work right on the top there. It's going to kind of twist weird. That's okay. Just go with it. It's kind of like we're working on the inside instead of the outside. The third one in right there. And then just go back to doing 5 in each section along the sides here, and then work a single crochet stitch in all the ones along the side until you get back to where you started, and then your headband is done except for weaving in any last ends you might have. Alright, very last and final step. I know I said a minute ago that that was the last step, but we're going to do one more thing. We are going to add this piece onto the pony holder. It just gives it a nice polished finished look. So to do that, I'm going to make a slip knot with my yarn. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to work single crochet stitches over both sides of the hair tie. So I'm going to hold this kind of to the front of me, and I'm going to reach from the bottom, grab the yarn, and then from the back I'm going to yarn over. I'm going to pull through both loops on the hook. Okay, so right over both of them. Reach from the bottom, yarn over, pull through both loops on the hook. And you can do as few or as many single crochet as you like. I'll probably do about 10. I kind of like a longer section holding it together, but you just keep repeating this process. Pull from the underside, yarn over from the top, and you just do it as many times as you want to create that little band in the middle of your hair tie, and then once it's as long as you want, fasten off and weave your ends in, and then your headband will officially be finished. So there you go, this is the headband that I just crocheted here in camera as I walk through the tutorial. Super fun. Again, I do have a smaller head. I'll put the measurements for how big mine turns out in the description down below so you can know whether you need to go bigger or not. Lots of fun ways to wear it. I feel like I probably just look like a hippie wearing it this way. I can try it. Let's see how this one works. Front. I feel like I still have that like hippie like 80s, 70s something hairstyle when I wear it like that. But anyways, it's a super cute headband, very versatile. I think it's really nice though because if you do it in a neutral color like a cream, or even if you go with a soft green or some color like this, it's really nice because these are awesome for summer, but they transition really well into the fall season. So I'm definitely going to be wearing mine when school starts back up and as we get into some cooler weather here. But I hope you all enjoyed the pattern. I think this is probably my longest video I have ever done, so hopefully you stuck through all the way to the end here. And if you did stick through all the way to the end, thank you so much, it means a lot to me. And while you're here, if you watch to the end and you enjoyed this project, give me a thumbs up to let me know if you plan on making this or not. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button below so that way you stay up to date with forthcoming videos on my channel. Best of luck with this project, everybody. Happy crafting.